Welcome everyone, friends and foes of all species. I'm Dayzee Hyena. Welcome back to another episode of Angels with Scaly Wings. I just want to take a moment while I was loading the game. Look what's on our front screen now! It's Katsuharu! Man, he's so nice. Now, last time, we met with the administrator. He told us that this is actually the same Earth that we know and that we're currently living on now. But, 65 million years in the past. And that all dinosaurs are, like, the dinosaurs are still around, but the dragons themselves are augmented dinosaurs that, like, he created. And it's been a few generations since he appeared, and the administrator is basically the Dragon Jesus. So, I feel like we should talk with Remy because he might give us some more info. Oh, hey! Thank you again for helping me the other day. Without you, I would have been trapped sorting books for hours. Inviting you over for dinner is the least I can do. It's no problem. Really is. There's something else you can do. Potato! I want to say it so bad, but we already fucked up with him before, so I'm gonna go no problem, really. There's no problem, really. Besides, I'm also here to learn more about your kind. Spending some time in the library is only appropriate. Well, my gratitude is yours regardless. Anyway, is there anything in particular you would like to eat? Anything will do. How about some steak? I could go for some meat right now. Anything will do. But I usually like steak, but I don't know if he's a vegetarian. I happen to have some nice steaks left. How does that sound? This might take a while, so make yourself at home. With those words, Remy walked into the partially walled-off kitchen. There was no door, so I saw him open the fridge and take out 2 steaks before he set them on the counter. Soon after, he was already preparing the various ingredients with somewhat clumsy paws. He was silent for a moment, then lifted his snout and looked at me over the partition. What is it? I was just thinking about something. I can help you cook if you like. Don't worry about it. Alright. Looked around the apartment as Remy cooked and couldn't help but notice the almost mesmerizing tidiness that permeated the space. Shelves were filled with books, scrolls, magazines, and other various trinkets. Suddenly, the repetitious noise of vegetables being cut ceased as Remy returned from the adjoining room. I'll be back in just a minute. He went down the hall and vanished through the bathroom door. What should I do? Examine the shelves, go into the bathroom. Yeah, that's perfect. Now, look at the pictures, search his bedroom. Wait. I decided to pass the time by humming the theme of a game show. Looks like Remy still isn't back. I am tired of them trying to make me search his shit. I am not going to search through his stuff. Oh, there he is. The bathroom door opened and revealed the white dragon. As he approached, I felt my stomach grumble quietly. I barely heard the muffled sound, but when I saw Remy's ears perk, I realized he had more sensitive ears than I expected. Hungry already, I take it. I'll starve if you... I'm so empty. Lift your shirt! No! I suppose so. Although your stomach already answered that question for you. After entering the kitchen once more, I saw the dragon looked over the kitchen partition again. His mouth opened a little as though he was going to speak, but his brows scrunched with hesitation. Before I could say anything, he shook his head and continued to cook. Soon I heard the sizzling of frying meat as the delicious smells of steak wafted the room. Fueled by its fragrant odors, I slowly lost myself to daydreams as I closed my eyes. Is something wrong? You are salivating. It's nothing, I was just thinking about something. Well, the food is ready, enjoy. I looked down and saw that the plate was already in front of me, piled with steak and vegetables. Remy was already eating, so I took the knife he had provided and cut off a small corner of my steak. Then I pierced it with my fork, its 3 prongs penetrating the flesh unrelentingly. Slowly, I raised it to my mouth, and my tongue glided over the bare substance briefly as it entered my lips. I took the first bite, a delicately crisp exterior with a much softer and juicy inside. It melted on my tongue like butter as the taste spread to even the remotest corner of my mouth. I am so hungry right now. I want steak right now, man. It was almost perfect. So, what were you thinking about? Huh? Remy's words snapped me back to reality. You said you were thinking about something. Do you live here by yourself? I was thinking about those recent murders. I met Emera recently. Why did you use a stove to cook? Nothing in particular. Do you live here by yourself? I do, honestly. You're the first person to visit in a while. He spoke softly and his gaze wandered. Oh, I see. Thank you again for inviting me. I met you. You met my boss. She was hanging around Tatsu Park. She certainly does that a lot. Let me give you one piece of advice. Don't ever work for a politician. I mean, can't you just use your fire? Well, for one, not all of us have that ability. Besides, we appreciate the convenience that comes with appliances like this one. Not everyone wants to eat food cooked on someone else's breath. Fair! I never thought that's fair. Breathing fire indoors is also a little unsafe. I see, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, what a terrible thing. People can be so cruel sometimes. They can be. Where I come from, incidents like this are unfortunately fairly common. Truly, here it's almost unheard of. One just needs to take a look at the statistics to realize it is very unusual, or an exceptionally bad week. Anyways, how do you like the food? I would marry this steak if I could. Seeing as it's already half gone, I don't think this marriage would last particularly long. Just take out a good life insurance. Ooh. Part of me wants more information. By the way, I noticed you went to see Anna the other day. What was that all about? How do you know about that? I saw you two together a little before you left the building. It's kind of a long story. Why were you at the factory in the first place? She said I could come by. Apparently she wants to run some test on me. Oh, that's so typical of her. Let me tell you something. That woman is trouble, big trouble. A few years ago, she was discovered performing unapproved and therefore illegal experiments. She had been running them for a while under the assumption that she would be allowed to, but in the end, our council's ethics committee made the decision against her. Nana's defense was that she did it for the greater good and that she was confident that her experiments would be approved eventually. She lambasted us for not allowing her research and said our decision was short-sighted and stifling innovation. In the end, no proof of any actual wrongdoing could be found, so she basically got off scot-free. Since then, she's remained under the radar. Until now, there are rumors going around about Anna. Surprise, surprise, her latest application involves human DNA. Her casual disregard of the rules of any kind should tell you what kind of person she is. She does have a brilliant mind, you know, but the way she uses it. She's manipulative, arrogant, abusive. I don't think you should trust her. I can't say I disagree. I agree. I agree. Something seems off about her. Soon both of our plates were picked clean. I guess I judged your portion correctly, unless you want more. I'm good, thanks. That was an interesting steak. What kind of meat was that? Those were orange steaks. Are you familiar with that animal? I may have heard of... Okay, I gotta see what this is. I want to know what we ate. Oh, it's an extinct species of bull. Okay, I'm good. I'm fine with that. They're rather large bovine mammals characterized by their horns and body shape. We get a wide range of products from them, from meat and milk to sub-products like butter and cheese, in addition to leather, felts, oils, and creams. We even use their horns and bones for a variety of things. That sounds similar to an animal that we have back home. Speaking of familiar creatures, why don't you tell me more about your species? Are you referring to me or all of us? Our society is comprised of a number of different species, which you have probably noticed by now. I guess all of you, but let's start with the basics. I'm sure you're aware, but unlike the mammalian acrons, we are reptiles. Though, this makes me wonder about you. Based on your fur, I guess that you are a mammal, but you're also very different from other mammals we know. In the same vein, you don't share many characteristics with our reptiles back home. And by the way, we don't have fur, but hair. What's the difference? I think the second one is the right one. Fur has a set length that will grow, whereas hair keeps growing, so we regularly cut it. So that's so interesting. I was wondering something. Are you wearing all those coverings to make up for the lack of hair? I suppose that's one reason why humans wear clothes. They also provide warmth and protection, and they are used to differentiate us one from another. Sometimes uniforms are used as identification. Other times clothes are just ornamental. What a person wears can tell us something about the person itself. That sounds complicated. We also have uniforms and wear some things for ornamental reasons, though uses aren't quite as extensive. That brings up an interesting question. Are you endo or exothermic? We produce our own body heat. That is unusual. Where I come from, all reptiles are exothermic. Unless you count birds as reptiles, I guess. But none of your reptiles are sentient, correct? Maybe it has something to do with our different brain structures. Maybe. Now that you've been in our world for a while, how do you like it here? I like the people. That's good to hear. Cultural differences can make things very difficult sometimes, even within the same species. I'm glad that your things are working out for you so far. Oh, I just remembered, I was able to save my game after all. Your inference was only a minor setback. Thank God. I felt really bad. I was quite relieved when I found out. You know, if that hadn't worked out so well, I would have considered making you play up to that point again for me. I probably would have. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't mind playing some of your video games. Is that so? Yeah, they're fun. I'd like to see what kind of games you have here. I keep that in mind. Perhaps I can show you sometime. You know, I'm glad you're here. Since you arrived in our world, we really haven't had the chance to sit down and talk. I agree. I didn't know you wanted to chat. I'm usually not a sit down and talk. I agree. It's been busy time for me, as you can imagine. Oh, of course. Thanks for taking the time to pay me a visit. I always have so many things to take care of that it's hard. At for me to find the time to do something simple like this. At least it worked out this time. You do have a point, though. I really don't know that much about you. I know where you work, and most of our conversations so far have revolved around things other than you and me. Why don't you tell me more about yourself? I don't really like talking about myself. Why not? I guess I wouldn't know what to say. I'm not really that interesting. I don't believe you. There's also the uncertainty of not knowing how another person will react to something I say. I don't want to embarrass myself. Hey, at least you told me that. That's something. I suppose. Anyway, now that you've seen my apartment, I'm wondering what your home on the other side of the postal looks like. It's nothing special. Yours is prettier. Actually, everything here looks nice in comparison but back home. Is that so? In some ways, I'm really not looking forward to returning, but it's not like I have a choice in the matter. I suppose you could always visit if you want to. It wouldn't be that easy, I'm afraid. There was an extensive process involved for selecting who would go through the portal, and I was only one of many applicants. I'm still surprised I ended up being chosen. Well, they obviously weren't good enough considering what Reza has done. At least you're here now. Indeed. So what have you been up to since the last time I saw you? You mean since I went to the kitchen to cook the steaks? Nice. Yep. Really? No. I believed you for a moment. You got me there, Dayzee. Wow, within all my talking, I totally forgot about dessert. I'm on a diet. What would happen to... I'm up for some dessert, always. I have just the right thing for you. I'll be just a minute. He neatly stacked our dishes before he took them into one of his 4 paws and went back into the kitchen using his other 3 limbs. I couldn't help but think it looked pretty awkward. When he returned, balancing a plate with a rather attractive cake slice in a similar manner, I realized he would have had to make multiple trips to carry everything to the table. Ask him help. Do you need help with that? Don't worry about it, I can handle it. Your guest, my guest after all. Oh, I should have just helped him anyway. Once he placed the cake slice on... Well, I have 50-50. I would ask if they need help because some people think it's actually super rude to help them. So I wouldn't want to offend. He's a nice guy. Once he placed the first cake slice on the table, he went back to fetch the other. When he approached the table a second time, though, one of the tiny dessert forks started to slip off the plate. Remy reached for it with a free forepaw in an attempt to save it, but lost its balance without its support and fell over. In an instant, the plate, fork, and cake slice flew through the air. The dish and the silverware clattered as the pristine cake crumbled into a sad heap on the floor. Aww. Aww! Poor guy. For a few moments, there was a silence as Remy and I looked at the results of his blunder. I'm sorry, Dayzee. You don't need to apologize. This isn't just about you and your cake. This always happens to me, no matter how hard I try. You have proper hands, so do some of the other species. How can someone like me even be a librarian? Not a day goes by without me dropping scrolls or unfurling it across the room. But the customers don't care or pity me too much to say anything. It's common sight for them, after all. This is about Emera, isn't it? I guess it is. I don't see why someone like me got to be a librarian when there are others more qualified for the position, or who are at least capable of not dropping the inventory on a daily basis. She makes fun of you for it. I know it. I mean, why else would she have me do all these tasks all the time, sorting books, carrying things from one place to another? I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't work somewhere where my worth is only in the entertainment I provide. Why don't you look for a new job? These positions have terms similar to those in Minister, so if I end my employment prematurely, it wouldn't look great. How long do you have left? A while. Can you report her? Not really. It's not like I could prove anything. Her public and her private demeanor are two very different things, and it would be my word against hers. I just wanted to have a nice evening with you, and now it ended up like this. I shouldn't have brought that up. Don't worry about it. I still think it was a nice evening. Maybe I should stop being such a sourpuss then. I can help you clean up. Thank you, Dayzee. If we would have helped him, he wouldn't have dropped it. Aw. We cleaned up together, and by the end, he seemed in higher spirits. Afterwards, we said our goodbyes and left, not sure what to think. Another free day, yummy. Okay. Alright. Meet with Remy. Who the fuck is Remy? Bryce, Adine, Kevin. I think we should meet with Kevin, because we haven't really talked to him. That must be him. Hello. Good to see you again. This is where you live, huh? For the time being. That's pretty nice for a small town like this one. Are you not from around here? No, I'm just here for the job until the next semester starts. Basically, I'm trying to drum up some interest for the college and see if there's anyone around who would like to apply for it. How's that working out? Well, I haven't actually met that many candidates out here so far. For a town like this one, it's typical for the young people to go into an apprenticeship to prepare for the future job rather than go to college. But if there's anyone willing, we want to find them. Even out here? Yeah, there's always a need for more highly educated people in the cities as they expand. Cities? That's the first I heard of cities in this world. I thought this town was where it's at. Then you've really been missing out. This town really ain't all that special when it comes down to it. I've lived in the city most of my life, of course. That's also where the college is. I don't think they build one out here anyway. I think as an ambassador they'd show me around a bit, but apparently that isn't the case. Your visit is a bit of a political issue right now. The bottom line is that it's also for your own protection. Everything surrounding the portal has been well kept secret. People know that it exists, and that we currently have human visitors, but the exact location is only known to those who live here. If it ever got out, I don't think this town could face the enduring tourist trying to cast a glimpse of you. Travel has been restricted as well. There are strict conditions for people who want to come out of here. The only reason I was allowed to do it is because this isn't my first time doing this job. The people here already knew me. Heck, I didn't even know this was the town in question until I arrived and heard everybody talking about you. Well, I'm glad they're talking about this matter seriously. They certainly are. I'd like to know more about these cities you talked about, though. Well, I can only speak about the one I live in, but what do you want to know? I only really have this town as a point of reference, so why don't you tell me about what's different? Geez, that's only pretty much everything. Out here, living in general seems to be a lot cheaper than in this city, and there is much more room for everything. There are green spaces, fields, parks, and farms. You don't really see that in the city. People are more laid back, and there's a bigger sense of community as everybody knows everybody, which can be good and bad. For example, swimmers travel fast and survive well in areas like this one. In the city, you can just make new friends when that happens, but out here, a few well-placed stories can mean a social death. And the city is also much more crowded. Buildings pretty much line the streets, and there isn't much room for anything else. But with the clubbing scene and opportunities for socialize, there's no shortage of potential friends. There's also many different jobs and educational opportunities that you wouldn't find out here. Like what? Creative jobs of all kinds, for example, game designer, writer, artist, that kind of stuff. Same goes for teaching positions in those areas as well. For example, if I wanted to learn how to write a romance novel, I could find a course for that easily. Out here is a lot more difficult, you know what I mean? Yes, absolutely. In a way, it feels like you're always busy when you live in the city. The streets are usually filled with people trying to get somewhere. Of course, this also has the side effect of small apartments, as people tend to go out more often to seek entertainment elsewhere. Which do you prefer? In the end, I suppose I prefer the city. That's not to say that I think one's better than the other. Different strokes for different folks, all that. You know, out here people would probably laugh at some of the things I do in my free time, but in the city, you get enough like-minded people to even get conventions about all kinds of things. What kind of conventions do you go to? All kinds of geeky things, cartoons, comics, all that stuff. I've even written a few fanfics before, since I can't really draw all that well. Man, have y'all heard of the furry fandom? Aren't cartoons usually for kids? That's like saying books are usually just for kids. Cartoons are just a medium, of course. There are some that are aimed at kids, but there are cartoons for adults as well. Cartoons for adults, I see. It's not like that. Well, I mean there are cartoons like that, but that wasn't what I was talking about. In any case, what else falls under geeky interest for you? Let's see. I guess you could say I'm kind of a techie. I do the following news about technology and hearing all about new developments in the industry. You must be pretty interested in the portal then. Alright, I didn't even consider that I could actually go there and check it out. If I knew where it was, that is. I could show you. If you did that, you'd be the coolest human I've ever met. Compared to what? I suppose that you'd be by default, since you're the only human I ever met, but you get the idea. Yep. Let's just go. I'll be right behind you. There it is in all its glory. That looks so much cooler than I thought it would. How? State your business. I just wanted to show the portal to my friend here. Well, friend, you can look, but don't touch anything and no photos either. Do I look like I have a camera? Well, you could be hiding something in your fur. Are you gonna give me a pat down? I don't think so. What's that, though? Fellas from Midwest Institution, I could give you one if you're interested in going back to school. Oh, thank you. I'm quite happy with my current job, which is protecting the portal from any unsavory individuals. What's up with you, Sebastian? Just doing my job, Dayzee. He could be a spy. Really? There have been a lot of interest in the portal from the cities. They have made us offers, but for now, we're not going to do anything until we see how your visit turns out. In the end, it's just political power struggle. Small towns like us have to protect our interests. And in the process, reinforce the stereotypes of country bumpkins being conspiracy nuts. You know I could arrest you, right? Respect is a two-way street, just saying. Trust is good, but control is better. It's a matter of perspective. I think I've seen enough anyway. Let's head back, Dayzee. Sure. You're not gonna leak anything, are you? Of course not. Now I think about it, I totally could, though. Oh, really? I have some connections and potential audience. Now that you're starting to sound like Sebastian had a point. Not really, I just know a few people from a writing column in a college magazine. It's not popular enough that it was even featured in a local newspaper for a while. Interesting. What did you write about? Nothing special, really. It was just commentary about current events. I see. I guess you were pretty involved in your local community then. Not more than anyone else, I think. What's it like to actually live on campus? College is, in general, a pretty unique period of life, I'd say. Yep. I miss my college days. What are you eating? Oh, it's a toy. Okay, never mind. I thought my dog was eating trash. Something I've noticed is that some people are not prepared for the independence they have lived on campus. You are given a chaotic schedule, you have nothing to do on some days, whereas on other you're kept busy with classes, homeworks, and other things you have to do. With study buddies, roommates, classmates, it's not really hard to make new friends. You also get to meet a lot of people who share similar interests from taking the same classes and being in the same clubs. And don't forget about the dorms, so all these people are always within reach, which can also be good, both good and bad. You could be tempted to hang out with friends when you should be studying. For many people, it becomes the first taste of real freedom and independence. Some just handle it better than others, I suppose. That could be a problem with team projects, for example. There's always someone who ends up never showing up and not doing any other work. Oh, so that's same for even Dragon Society, unfortunately. For me, it's not really a problem since I actually enjoy what I'm doing here. I don't mind the homework, and sometimes I read up on subjects in advance so I don't get left behind. I've even corrected the professor once or twice during a lecture. I think that wouldn't be a good idea with certain kinds of professors. Well, with us, I was even allowed the privilege of giving a guest lecture for my own class once. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I was talking about. Come on, learning should be fun. It certainly is for me. I suppose being able to have that kind of attitude makes it a lot easier. It certainly does. Let's see, if it keeps up once you have a few more semesters under your non-existent belt. Don't be so negative. And just for your information, I do have a belt at home. Besides, it's not as if I'm some sort of antisocial hermit who only focuses on his studies. I just know when to say no to my friends. That's actually important. Oh, really? Yes, we usually get together on weekends and do some cooking together. People can only stand so much frozen food before they get sick of it. And eating out in the city can add up pretty quickly if you're not careful. I see. We rotate the cook every week, but apparently people are looking forward to when it's my turn. I've got a lot of compliments for my homemade mac and cheese. Now you're making me hungry. I bet they all miss it, but they'll get to taste it again once summer vacation is over in a month or so. And in the meantime, you're just out here handing out flyers? Yep, it's good to help out our college, and if I can save up a bit in the process, that's certainly easier than trying to juggle a job and homework at the same time later on if things get tight. What were you studying again? Psychology. I see. Alright, go ahead and analyze me right now. It doesn't really work like that. I know, you just passed the test. Oh, I know what you're getting at. Maybe I'll steal that test from you, though. Might be worth trying it out in a few people I know. Be my guest. Well, on a more serious note, tell me something about what you're learning. What, anything? I just want to get an idea of the subject and whether it's comparable to our own understanding of psychology. I see. Well, I could tell you about an old and very simplified model of our psyche that we got taught in introduction classes. Sounds good. His voice is starting to tear mine up. Okay, so this model divides our psyche apparatus into three distinctive parts called id, ego, and superego. The id represents our most basic desires and instinctual drives. That is, our physical needs and wants like hunger, thirst, as well as desires and impulses. What's the difference? An impulse is like one that lasts out in anger. The id seeks out immediate gratification for these urges. It's in conflict with the superego, which represents learning behaviors for cultural morals and rules and societal standards. It's the kind of stuff we learn from role models like parents, teachers, and guardians. The superego is the part that forms our consciousness and controls our sense of right and wrong. It seeks to uphold these standards to perfection, which most of the time goes against what the id wants at any given moment. Sounds like you've had to root learn a lot of this. If those internalized rules are broken, this misbehavior is punished by the superego with feelings of guilt and shame. This way we are compelled to behave in accordance to the rules even if the id is tempted to do otherwise. And in between these two conflicting parts of us, there is the ego who is trying to mediate. It represents our rational mind that seeks to please the id's drives in a way that doesn't harm us or go against the superego's goals. However, it also serves as another master of the external world. The ego includes all decision-making and how we respond to external stimuli. So ultimately, it is the one calling the shots while we're trying to balance out the needs of the id and the superego in the external world. And there you have it, an outdated, simplified model of our psyche. It still serves as a good introduction, though. Thank you. I actually think I may have heard about something like this before. Why'd you go with psychology in particular? It's just an interest in how people work, I suppose. Also, it's an incredibly diverse subject. There are so many potential jobs. Just being able to understand people is such a huge factor in many fields, and the skills you can learn could come handy in all areas of life, really. When people hear about psychology, they most think of psychologists or psychotherapists, but they can also be counselors for communities, organizations, researchers, or teachers. You often see them teaming up with other professionals to influence every part of a society. Just think about hospitals, courtrooms, prisons, even schools and universities. They can also become coaches for high-performance jobs where they work with CEOs, athletes, and performers of all kinds. Every institution and business that works with people can profit from the presence of someone who studies psychology.
How are you, baby? Huh? Do you like Kevin's voice? Huh? Do you want my attention? Do you want up in my lap? You're coming up in my lap.
Ugh. Wiener in my lap. That's why you'll also find this kind of knowledge to be incredibly helpful even when you are a master in sales, because these jobs require empathy and understanding of your clients' needs. Understanding people is just something that comes in handy pretty much everywhere you go, and that's what psychology is all about. Even in video games, psychology is a factor. Horror games are an obvious example, but also with tutorials or UI designs and how people interact with your games. Psychology and player expectations are always going to be a factor. I think I get the idea. Out here, I think a lot could still be done to improve the image of the field, you know. What do you mean? There's a bit of a stigma admitting that you need help, especially when you're doing fine physically. For them, it's a sign of weakness, so in order to preserve their image, they hide everything away by locking those feelings. But locking those feelings doesn't solve the problem. If anything, it makes it worse. Is that something you'd like to work with? Me, honestly, I don't know if I could tackle a big issue like that. It's good for me that psychology is a diverse field, because I'm not quite sure where I'm going with it yet, or what particular job I'd like to have after I'm done with my studies. I see. I think you still have plenty of time to figure that out. Yeah, before I came here for my summer job, I was interning at a psychotherapist's office for a month. I got to hear about some interesting and also tragic cases. I thought I wanted to help people with issues like that, but sometimes it's pretty hard not to be affected too much by those stories. So I'm not sure if it's the right job for me.
But you're already working with people, right?
I don't know, maybe interning there was a little too close to the sun for me.
If you didn't, why would you be the one to hand out flyers? It's just like you mentioned earlier. Psychology comes in handy with sales and similar jobs where you have to interact with people. Handing out flyers is pretty similar to that, don't you think?
I guess.
You seem to be doing well enough with that. You're helping bring your college and people together, and in this way, you're helping both.
It's been a lot of fun too. After all, I got to meet you and even got a glimpse of the portal.
Who knows, maybe one of those people you handed a flower will one day turn out to be famous for their work.
Now, I think that's a little too idealistic, but I get your point. It doesn't always have to be about big problems. Little problems need solving too.
Like when you're eating on, like what you're eating on the weekend.
Haha, yeah. What about you, though?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't want to pry, but we were talking all this time, and you know a lot more about me than I do about you. Maybe you can't say anything about where you grew up or what you studied because it's top secret or whatever, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious.
Well, I don't like talking about myself all that much, and I think there are some things that are better left unsaid.
I see.
But if you're curious, I guess it's only fair to share a few things as well. You know, it's been fun talking about college, but I already got my degrees a while ago. It was interesting to go hunting for jobs with my usual combination of I thought it was interesting to go hunting for jobs with my unusual combination of degrees, but I thought that would open a few doors. But before I got anywhere, the world underwent a few changes that made a lot of jobs obsolete. It's been a rough time since then. Turns out those degrees can come in handy after all, because in the end they enabled me to come here. If I consider all the good and the bad that's happened since my arrival, it's been a vacation compared to home, and it looks like the vacation might come to an end soon. I don't know what's gonna happen after that. I can only hope my visit will have started something that will mean change for our world, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I shouldn't be such a downer though, sorry for bringing it up, but maybe that explains why I don't like talking about it. What's your professional opinion on this? Well, my professional opinion is a flyer distributor. I'd recommend a generous application of hugs, but that's just me. You look like you can need them. Aw, please, I want to hug him. Go for it. He took a step forward, and as soon as I found myself being enveloped in the furry dragon's embrace, with him pulling me close like a giant furry blanket that was all around me, the hairs tickled my exposed skin. Oh! After a few seconds we parted, and he took a step back again. I hope things can be better for you in the future. I don't think I could do anything to help with that, though, no. I know. You prefer the little problems. Oh wow, it's night. It's getting dark. I should probably head out and look for a cave, or else I'll have to sleep in the streets. What are you talking about? Well, it seems like all the hostels are already full despite the vetting process for visitors. Enough people got in to take all available short-term lodging spots in the town. Oh, really? There's my couch. Yeah, despite only a few people knowing your location or of the portal, journalists and tourists are flocking to towns hoping to catch a glimpse, or at least find a clue about your whereabouts. That only leaves me with the option of finding or renting a cave for a night or sleeping in the streets. Not that I mind sleeping in a cave, but someone like me, it's usually something of an adventurous weekend rather than a way of life. The rocks don't exactly make for the best bedding. Sleep here, man. Really? Yeah, there's plenty of room here, and it's kind of my fault that you couldn't find another place anyway. I guess that means you don't share the officer's suspicion about me being a spy, then. Not really. You know, I could totally take this room apart while you're sleeping. You're not really helping your case. Besides, you won't really find anything special here. Hey, I'd keep an eye on that copy of Dragoneric Desire you got on the shelf there. I might be tempted to snatch it while you're not looking. I'd mind. If you need something for bedtime reading, feel free to help yourself. Okay, I will. Aww. Furry roommate. Oh, shit. Oh, hey! Is this the festival? Student. After a night of turbulent dreams, my consciousness returned to the shores of the awaking world. Today's the day of the big fireworks. Who shall I bring? Go alone. Why not Kevin? He's in our house. Well, I was sure of those I knew would agree to watch the fireworks with me. If I asked, I ultimately decided to go alone, not wanting to impose on anyone if they hadn't asked me first. After making some preparations for the day, I set out to experience these fireworks I heard so much about. Where the hell is Kevin? When I left my apartment, I realized just how eerily deserted the rest of the place felt. They really weren't kidding when they said everyone would watch the fireworks. I imagine there were a couple of designated places people gathered for this purpose. I had no doubt they were crowded beyond belief. While I waited for the fireworks to start, I looked at the area around me. With no soul in sight, I realized I hadn't actually spent many nights outside, and was reminded of the day I had arrived here at my apartment in total darkness with only Remy by my side. Soon, oh, there we go. The total stillness broke with the sound of the first rocket ascending, its explosion painting a circular pattern in the sky. More rockets followed, the quantity and frequently steadily increasing. Ah, pretty. I always love fireworks. I know they're horrible for the environment, but I can't help but love them. As the explosions battered my ear, a terrible realization hit me. Considering how public of an event this was, and how everyone would be watching the fireworks, now would be the best time for Reza to make his move. It would! Oh god! Not only was the village basically deserted, but the sounds of the fireworks would also overshadow any gunshots, giving him as much security as he he would ever have. As the portal had been repaired by the administrator, Reza would have no trouble making his getaway, and I was the only one who knew. I ran to my apartment and briefly considered calling the police as I grabbed a few things. However, I soon remembered that they were not only already understaffed, but that I might waste precious time if I tried to do so. I arrived at the portal just a few minutes later. I couldn't help but be glad that it was still turned off and didn't appear to have been used recently, but it meant Reza was still here somewhere. I looked around thinking about where he could be or as if it was worth waiting for him here when I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Hesitating, I drew nearer. Oh no, it's a body! Ah! Oh, it's Sebastian! I checked Sebastian for any signs of life and found nothing. However, his body was still warm. Reza had been here very recently, but he hadn't used the portal just yet. Why? Sebastian's guard post was not just for the portal itself, but also the surrounding area. Since Reza was already here, he probably had some unfinished business very close by. The underground building, the administrator had told me about the prowess of the generators within. It probably hadn't been hard for Reza to guess the same, or to try stealing them from a place he knew would be even more deserted than the rest of the village it was right now. He also didn't have to go far from the portal. All things considered, it was the only option that made sense to me. I could have waited for Reza here, but in the end I decided it would be better to meet him underground. If there was going to be a confrontation, I was sure to have the advantage in a more crowded space. Even in the darkness, it was easy for me to spot the site where they had unearthed the building's entry, as it was roped off area I had seen from afar before. Oh wow. When I entered the building, I was met with a long illuminated hallway that was lined with doors on both sides. Since the lights were already on, Reza had to be very close. I wasn't surprised the building still have electricity, since the generators were also powering the portal. Suddenly one of the doors opened and out came Reza carrying a large cardboard box. When he spotted me, he set it on the ground. Dayzee, you're here. You don't know how glad I am to see you. I've wanted to talk to you so long. I even tried to contact you, but I couldn't with someone tailing you the whole time. But talking can wait. Now that you're here, we've got everything. Come on, help me with this. Let's get out of here. No. No, what are you talking about? I'm not doing anything until you answer a few questions. You want to talk now? Sure, why not? We probably got a few hours if we wanted to. None of them will disturb us here. We can even get the backup generator as well after we send this one over. When did you realize we were in the past? How did you know about the comment? I've known for a while. It's what I wanted to talk with you about when we met at the portal. How about you? I only recently found out. Looking back, it just seems so obvious to me now. I'm not sure exactly how you figured it out, but there are so many damn clues when you think about it. I mean, how could a supposedly completely different independent civilization speak the same language as us? I knew that. What was this supposed to be? An alternative reality? No, it was just a different time. When was there ever anything resembling these creatures on Earth? It's not hard to make a jump from dragons to dinosaurs when some of here look pretty damn near identical to the dinosaurs we knew about. And then there was also the prehistoric fruits and the plants and the fact that their technology is nearly exactly the same as our own past society. But we don't even have to think of that abstract, you just need to look at the sky. The moon, even the stars, us. Oh shit, it's on auto. Fuck. You could have just pointed your PD at the sky and it would have told you the time period, including the imminent threat of being eradicated. You could even see the meteorite in the sky and how it would change position day after day. Are
Are you done being condescending? Guess so. You killed those dragons, Reza.
What a brilliant deduction, Sherlock.
Why did you do it?
You really need me to spell it out? I thought better of you. After I found out the truth of this place, I knew waiting for generators we were owed was not an option anymore. It would have taken who knows how long, but I didn't intend to stay a day longer than necessary. You wouldn't believe how hard it was for me to acquire some generators. Some of the dragons didn't go down easy. But who cares that they got their generators I stole? With just one, we won't need any of the others.
How could you do this?
How could I do this? Let me ask you this. What harm is there really in taking generators with the whole civilization will be gone in a few weeks anyway? The ones I killed just died a little earlier than scheduled. If that creep hadn't shown up and interrupted our meetings, we wouldn't have had the same time to make the generators for us.
How about we don't let them all die?
They're not going to be extinct anytime soon if that's what you're concerned about. I paid the hatchery another visit before I came here. With the right persuasion, I think we'll have plenty of reasons to keep at least some of them around. Bodyguards, border trolls, weapons, even as pets and companions, as long as we make the necessary changes. See, it's not as bad as you might think.
You're just a piece of shit. I'm not going to just abandon them like that, only for their whole civilization to be wiped out.
Get your priorities straight, Dayzee! You actually would rather starve because you suddenly empathize with steak and you'd not be satisfied by just starving yourself. No, you're gonna let us all starve because you'd rather impose your morals on everyone. Since when do you think you get any say in this? You know why you're here. What you're proposing is treason and you know the consequences. Personally, I don't mind if you want to stay here. You know I don't care about corporal punishment. Just let me through and you can do whatever you wish.
I can't do that, Reza.
I see how it is. They told me that they need the generator to stop the comet, huh? And now you become their lackey. Don't tell me you've been drinking up whatever they've been telling you. You know they have as much of a vested interest in this whole thing as humanity does, and that I, or you do, or at least used to. Do you think they wouldn't do the same thing if it was their families on the line instead of ours?
Their entire world is on the line here.
They live in perfect harmony with that perfect green energy source. There's no wars or conflicts, yada yada. We had that too. And you know what happened then? Of course you do. This is such an idiotic trope, you know. Random person meets weird natives, learns their way, and that ends up saving them. What do they need you for, huh? Maybe they're going extinct for a reason if they can't even save themselves.
You know of our suffering, yet we'll let them have it.
I don't care what happens to them, but unlike you, I was at least trying to save humanity.
At any cost?
We have the solution right here, and if you want to get philosophical now, don't you think we deserve it? They've had it for who knows how long. Now it's time for us.
Not like this.
Do you think I like it? If there was a different way, I wouldn't have spent the last few weeks doing what you didn't. We don't live in a fairy tale world of yours where there is a perfect solution to everything. You should know that. Just being here a few weeks must have messed you up. I think I know why. You got too used to all the comforts they have here. You don't actually care if they all die back home, do you? As long as you can stay here in this perfect little world of yours, you have disregarded everything and everyone back home and replaced it with this. Maybe it's because you just didn't have a life back home. I can understand that a little. Of course, it would be nice to just stay here where they have everything that we don't. But being here also reminds me of everything I hated about a world as it used to be. The pettiness and politics say about the solar flare what you want, but a level playing field gave people like us a chance to make a difference. For all of our efforts, what did we get? A vote that was meaningless in a sea of stupidity and lies. Now everyone has to pull their own weight. We make the rules. you of all people should understand. Of course they wouldn't. They wouldn't have experienced how it is to live like we do now, to see the world burn and everyone you know die around you.
And because I have, I won't let the same thing happen to them.
How many do you think died back home just in the 2 weeks you've been here? Because we don't have the power for the hospital, huh? Do you think those victims aren't worth mentioning? Or do you not care about a few dragons I killed? Our city is the last bastion of civilized society in a world where there's nothing else left. Maybe you've forgotten about them, but I haven't. How many of us do you think will still be there in a month, a year? Or are they just a statistic to you?
The same could be said for the dragons.
What do you want to do? Talk me down from doing this and then what? It's too late anyway. You think they're just gonna let us go after what I've done? Fat chance. Whatever you may think, you'll find that our leaders back home agree with my course of action.
Why are you telling me this?
Because I expect you to join me.
It's not going to happen.
And you call yourself an ambassador? This generator's the only thing we need for our city to survive. How can you argue about that?
Dragons also need that generator, and I'll do what is necessary to stop you if I have to.
So that makes you the judge, jury, and execution. What a wonderful set of morals you have there, Dayzee.
Dude, I would have beyond kicked you in the dick by this point. We only need to wait until the comet has passed safely.
You think you can stop the comet? And you need this generator to do that? Sure, and if your plan fails, then not only this world is gone, but we may also lose all hope of saving our own.
Didn't we already send a generator back, though?
We are so close now, we can't risk anything by waiting for your crazy plan when back home they are dying by the minute. I will not let you.
You only want to save your own two-faced hide, because you don't want to face the consequences of what you did. Oh my god, he's gone crazy. Why are you laughing about this?
Because it's a joke, it must be. I'm the one with the gun and you thought you could just waltz here and lecture me. Listening to you was fun and all, but the grown-ups must get back to work now. I mean, what are you gonna do? You can't stop me now anyway.
Actually, I can. I opened the cloak I was wearing to reveal an improvised bomb that I made from the generator.
What is that?
You showed me how to do it, with the little trap you set at the farmhouse.
That wasn't intended for you.
Doesn't matter. You set it for someone you have set it to kill.
Where'd you even get that generator?
After the police reclaimed the generators you stole, it was easy for me to take one when I was alone in the department, just in case. I set the bomb on the ground between us. With it and me, between Reza and the exit, he would have to listen now.
So what's the plan?
I tell you what's going to happen. You leave the generator and turn yourself in.
You know what? I think you're bluffing. If you set that bomb off, not only do we both die, but you destroy the generators as well, and with them, any chance of saving either world, you can never do that.
Oh, shit! Yeah, oh, I don't like this. He pulled out his gun and pointed it at me as he slowly started closing the distance between us.
But is it gonna be Dayzee killing all of us, or just this world?
Reza was right. In reality, the bomb provided no real leverage against him. If his goal was truly to save our city back home at any cost, he would not turn himself in. Even if the threat of setting off a bomb was a real one, his best chance would be at least try to kill me now. I turned around and started running.
No!
I heard gunshots and immediately felt the most excruciating pain I've ever experienced resonate through my arm. I kept sprinting as fast as I could. I heard a beep sound that made me realize I had inadvertently activated the bomb when I was hit. Out of bullets, Reza was not far behind me as we both scrambled towards the exit. Just as I reached the outside, the bomb went off. The explosion battered my ears as the shockwave sent me flying. I collided with the ground and immediately felt hails of debris. I cowered, waiting for it to die down. After a few seconds, I turned around and looked at the sky where the fireworks were still painting patterns in the stars. With one hand, I reached towards my injured arm, only to find it wet with blood from my bullet wound. My whole body was numb.
But I could not give up now. I slowly got up, looking around the area to get some perspective on the situation. Not far from where I was, I saw Reza lying on the ground. He was not moving. Please be dead. Oh, he's dead! Oh, he is way dead, and I am happy. As I got closer, I spotted the gun next to him. I won't let them find this. I took it with me, hiding it in one of my pockets as I started making my way towards the portal with the slow, uneasy steps. I was shaking and my vision was blurry. Every inch movement felt like a new, harder chore than the last. Eventually, my legs gave in and I collapsed to the ground. I resigned to my fate as I watched the night sky illuminated by the colorful explosions of fireworks. Did we die from getting shot in the arm? What the fuck? Suddenly I was lifted off the ground, and as I opened my eyes, I saw the masked face of the administrator. I just couldn't not let it happen. I had to stop him. I had to try somehow. The administrator started moving, carrying me. Unfortunately, it seems like the generators were destroyed as well. So this is how it ends? With humanity doomed to fade into history and the dragons facing extinction. Well, hope is not lost. It never was. What are you going to do? I'm going to send you back in time. We'll try again. And maybe we'll do better next time. What? By now we had arrived at the portal. The administrator gently set me down before moving towards the portal's controls. You will probably forget most of what happened. The teleportation tends to do that sometimes, especially when someone is transported several times in quick succession. Maybe you'll remember a thing or two, and maybe they'll help you do better next time. Maybe. I'll see you on the other side. Wait, what? What? I heard the sound of the portal starting to do its work. As the numbness and pain suddenly left my body, I experienced things I hadn't seen in the flash before. Crossing my mind as I was teleported, I felt free. What? Is that for real the end? Did we fuck up? Is that for real the end? Oh, we fucked up big time then, I guess. Alright, I'm going to let the credits roll. Oh, we fucked up big time. I get it. Going back in time, we remember, but not our avatar. I get it. Oh, man. So, obviously I fucked up. And obviously, I could have done better. I don't know what I could have done better, but I know I could have, because there is no way that's the actual ending. So, I'm going to go ahead and after all this stops, I'm gonna ask one of my friends who has played this game if there's any, like, spoiler-free tips on what I need to be picking in order to get, like, the best ending that I can possibly get in this situation. I think I was supposed to become friends with somebody in order to end all of this, but that obviously didn't happen. I'm not sure if you would want to see me play the whole thing again, or me just cut out the pieces that are the same and only show what I do differently. You have seen the neutral ending. So obviously there's good endings, bad endings, exactly. So that's the neutral ending. Anyway,
I'm gonna go ahead and I love the art, I love the design. I'm glad Reza died, so but I'm gonna go ahead and detonation. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna text my friend like right now what I need to be doing in order to get the good ending. I want the best ending possible because there's so much that is left unsaid that I want to know. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. We will be checking out the best ending and going down the best path in the next few episodes. I'm Dayzee Hyena. If you like what you see, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe so you can see my content in the future. Also, while you're here, if you have a game suggestion or you just want to say hi, leave it down in the comment section below. I'm Dayzee Hyena. I'll catch y'all in the next vid.